Okay, so I'm going to wait for the PowerPoint to come online. So the other aspect of writing that I've been meaning to try to talk to you is quoting and using quotes in your material. And this is actually adapted for my AP language class when I taught it. But the principles are the same, and so I'm going to go ahead and use this. So obviously, direct quotes it's the best evidence. It actually gives the most credibility to your work. It functions as your evidence, and it points the reader exactly to what you're thinking. But there are common quoting mistakes. You can fail to quote enough. You can quote too little. You can quote way too much, which tends to be the problem that a lot of my AP students have, is they tend to quote too much, or they quote a little bit and then use ellipses to get out of it. So there's a real art to quoting. And then another problem that my AP students tend to have are like assumptions and assuming that the quotes speak for themselves and you don't need to give any commentary to explain what your logic or your thinking is. Just simply just not true. So the objectives of this PowerPoint are to show you how to use quotations wisely and then surrounding quotations with what is known as the commentary frame. Okay. Quotations that are inserted without a commentary frame are called dangling quotations. I, your teacher, call it quote vomit because this habit absolutely disgusts me so much. It drives me absolutely insane. So here's an example. Susan Bordeaux writes about women and dieting. Fiji is one example. Until television was introduced in 1995, the islands had no reported cases of eating disorders, blah, 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 end quote. Okay. It's not, you haven't really introduced that quote. So it's not framed properly. And so these are the kinds of mistakes that drive me insane. So here's the quotation sandwich, because we all really like a good sandwich. I just had one for lunch today, and it was good. And nothing satisfies me more grading papers than to have a really, really delicious quote sandwich. And so the top slice is your statement introducing the quote. Your filling is the actual quotation or the evidence itself, and the bottom slice is that commentary that explains your thinking. Okay, so the top slice are introductions. So it gives necessary information: who is speaking, what the quotation says. In a literary analysis, it may be even what the situation is that's going on when someone says a certain word. Okay, then any follow-up statements should explain why that quotation is important. It should give some context for the evidence before you just dump it into your paper. Okay, so these are from They Say, I Say about argumentation, and this is a really good book for those kind of arguments that you wrote last year in AP language. But some of these templates are successful when it comes to literary analysis. And then you have to choose the filling. So you want to make sure that your quote complements your argument, that it actually fits what you're saying. And then sometimes you may need to revise the quotes you've chosen. You may choose a lot of evidence, a lot of quotes that you think are great and you want to use them, but then you find out they really aren't the best evidence for your claim and you need to remove them or revise them, take them out. The bottom slice is a slice that I find that students are either neglect entirely, or the bottom layer is just too thin to support such a great sandwich. So commentary is designed to explain or analyze the connection between your claim and the quotation that you're making. And it usually is 2 to 6 sentences. It should never be just one sentence. Otherwise, your evidence probably isn't strong enough to say what you need to say, or you're not saying enough to illustrate your thinking for your reader, okay? And then it can also contain your transition into your next claim, which works great for the ideas of like subordinate paragraphs that we talked about in the other lecture. Okay, and so here are a couple of examples of ways to explain quotations. Some of these work for literary analysis as well, but you get the idea of how to introduce that kind of commentary. Okay, if you don't like sandwiches, you can use CCQC, which is claim, context, quotation, and commentary. It's the same idea as quotation sandwich, but it's a different way of saying it. So your claim and your thesis make your argument. The claim supports the thesis. That's why your thesis is correct. And then 3 to 4 claims to back up your thesis. Okay. And so here are some examples of how that works out in a paragraph, color-coded to the previous slide. Okay. And don't worry about this assignment. This was an assignment that I did, but with my AP language class. But you can look not at your research paper, but look at your Arabic paper. Did you introduce properly your quotes? Did you explain or comment on the evidence or the quotes that you put in your paper? Okay, and you can go back and before you turn this in, before you print your final copy, go back for each quotation in your paper and highlight and underline your introduction to your quotations. Highlight or underline or circle your quotations used in your essay, and then highlight, underline, circle your explanation or commentary. That way you can see, and I like to color code it. So for instance, I would highlight in yellow my introduction to my quote. I would highlight in pink my quotations, and I would highlight in blue the commentary. And then I have to see. You should, as a general rule, have a whole lot more explanation and commentary than evidence. So that should be the most that you have in your paper. If you cannot successfully manage this for all of the quotations you've used, you'll need to revise your paper. So please, 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 please do not vomit quotes at me. Please introduce them. Please punctuate them properly. Please, please, please provide commentary for them that illustrates your thinking. And that's it for this lesson. I hope this was helpful. And again, enjoy your snow day. Hopefully you're all caught up, and I will see you tomorrow.